Welcome
Very
back
lost.
to Keeping Up with the Seattle Kraken. They've been busy. We are into the thick of things. Not to confuse you with Into the Thick of It. That was a TikTok trend several years ago.
I was about to say we need a
Um,
soundboard so I can just press a button and have that song play in the background.
hey man, you want to demonetize us? Go ahead, I guess. We're already trying to get there. Yeah, we had the emergency episode with Mason Marchment. The Mush Man is here, or is going to be here, according to his video that looks like he was like rehabilitated. Um, yeah, a few things. I know we said we'd talk about the assistant coaches. We're gonna start with that. Cale Fleury signed an extension to remain here, and I'm sure he will be yo-yoed even more. So those who have I think maybe I will make a graphic for that this year. I'll have a Cale Fleury um
Tracker.
you know tracker. Yeah. See how many air miles he's logged.
Let's
Um, but
We
you
should
know,
edit his face onto a yo-yo.
Yeah, just
so got that. Um the Andre Burakovsky trade that I am fascinated by how Jason Botterill got that done without retaining any salary. Um, and look at some things because as Jade and I talked about a few weeks ago, it is kind of the year where people just kind of say things, right? But I mean, like it seems like there might be some validity behind some of them, especially because this like thought that Seattle might not be done like came out the day before Burakovsky got traded to Chicago. So I mean, maybe there's some validity to it. I hope Berkey enjoys deep dish pizza. Now I'm hungry. Um, yeah, let's go into the assistant coaches. I mean, I was saying this to these two. I don't like with Aaron Schneekloth, and Chris Taylor. I'm like, hey man, I'll have to learn about you, right? I think the one that we have the only familiarity with is Coylin, Zulianello, um, who was the goaltending coach with Coachella Valley. He takes the same role with the Kraken here. That group of three of Schneekloth, Taylor, and Zulianello join Jessica Campbell, of course, and then video coaches Tim Ohashi and Brady Morgan, the two goats. Um, yeah, it's interesting. As I mentioned, I think on the Marchment video that we did, right? Miracle put together some thoughts on these coaches. And I was kind of like, okay, what the hell? Who are these guys? And I mean, Schneekloth has like extensive playing history, played 12 seasons professionally, spent a lot of time with the Colorado Eagles. I learned something. I didn't know that the Colorado Eagles were previously in the ECHL. Didn't
mhm.
know that. So, he's only 46. I mean, I would have thought with a guy who played that much professionally, maybe he'd be like more grandpa, but he's more my dad's age. My dad's older than that. Never mind. But has been more in the coaching realm as of lately. Um, past two seasons as head coach of the Eagles. So very interested with that. Kind of leave the Avalanche without their AHL head coach. So that's kind of funny. Um, Taylor's interesting. 5 seasons as an assistant coach with the Devils. Um, I think the big thing with him, right, was being part of their power play. And so, any success that carries over from that,
Please.
Seattle could use,
Yeah.
right? Because of what how inept the power play was. It just seemed like each night they found a new way to bungle something, you know, it is just like, hey man, it feels like this could be a lot simpler than how it's going. A lot of and Jade heard this because I'd complain about it on the press bridge. I'm like, late in the season, I was like, why is Shane Wright not on the first power play unit? Like a guy who's like leading your team in power play points or is near the top. Why is he not on the top unit? Why? You know, I think who was it? Oh shoot, Eddie Olczyk said throughout the season, like get your five get best guys and put them on the power play. I'm like, yeah, I don't disagree with that necessarily, considering how bad they were, right? I
I
mean,
mean,
with the amount of fans who are just like, can we deny the power play? Can we like continue to play 5-on-5 hockey,
okay, you
right?
could we don't need it.
Yeah, it's fine. Keep it for later. Can we like bank this and make it a 5-on-3? Maybe then it would work.
Probably.
Um, you know, Taylor also had some playing history, 149 career NHL regular season games, Buffalo, Boston, and the Islanders. 11 seasons in the NHL. Yeah, a lot of playing history with those two. Then yeah, Zulianello is interesting to me just because of his work with a little bit of work with Joey Decord, but obviously his work with Nikkei Coco. Um, finished first among AHL rookie net minors and wins, goals against average, and save percentage, being named to the AHL All Rookie team. Previously worked with the Stockton Heat in the AHL and played 122 regular season games in the ECHL with Las Vegas, Idaho, San Diego, Long Beach, Charlotte, Augusta, Mississippi, and played 4 AHL games with Springfield. Wow, he got passed around like a blunt. Um, I think that's fine. I just like if you were gonna just promote that guy, I don't understand why Steve Briere had to go.
Yeah, doesn't make a lot of sense to me either.
Don't get it, right? But yeah, I know these are kind of tough because I mean I guess they're lesser known. Obviously Lambert and Botterill like them. But uh we're still gonna go with the newbie. Miracle, I know you researched these two for your piece. Anything that sticks out to you about these guys or what their roles might be? I know it's not explicitly stated in our release, but any thoughts on your three new additions to the staff, and then Jade, to you, my friend.
I mean, no. They, like you said, we don't really know a lot about Taylor and Schneekloth. So I think it'll be interesting to see how they kind of come in and do their thing. Because I mean, essentially we're starting over again. So, I mean, hopefully they find their niche and slot in nicely because last year was rough. Um, I think I'm more interested in Colin since we got rid of Briere, and they already have a little bit of history with him, and he's a little bit, I mean, especially with Joey and a little bit with Grubauer too, since he was down there for a bit. So, I mean, they already kind of know him. I think that'll be a little smoother, hopefully, in theory. Um, Plus, like when I was looking through everything, he just seems more interesting to me, which is, he's got a master's degree in education, and I've
Yeah.
done a lot of early childhood education stuff. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, that'll be interesting to see how that fits into teaching hockey. So I don't know. I'm excited to see how they, cautiously excited to see how they slot in and hopefully do something because last year was kind of so.
I mostly agree with that. As a reformed Devils fan, I'm not super thrilled about Taylor, but that's kind of my own personal bias. Hopefully they find a groove here and they can find footing with the Kraken and um do something different for this team. But yeah, I'm glad that they brought in a goalie coach that is from the like within the organization. I think that that's going to be beneficial. Yeah, mostly agree with what Miracle said though.
Yeah, I think the big thing I think you guys have kind of touched on and kind of just how last year was is kind of the new faces thing. Like with I saw this a lot with the Bilesma firing, which I didn't necessarily disagree with, but I understand this thought process is that there are folks who believe, hey, like you just need a new look. And I feel like that's tough with Bilesma. Oh no, the thought process with that was just like this shows that they're determined to win and that they want to win and that the standard just wasn't good enough. Um, previously, right? So that like that part makes sense to me. Um, like I certainly thought it with Bob Woods. Thought should have been out of here earlier. Um, Alas, I am not president of hockey operations, Ron Francis. In case you can't tell, I'm not him. Um, I like, oh, and the sort of idea that maybe you need a fresh look. comes into play with Lowry, maybe with Briere. Like that's where maybe I can understand that. You know what I mean? Um, Still, I think it's kind of interesting yet to just bring like essentially elevate your AHL guy. But yeah, I mean he's as Jade mentioned, he's got some familiarity. So like there are worse things you could do. Guy, yeah, like I know that when Phil came back from the AHL level, he's had great things to say about how things were run down there, right? So, you know, it's not like he wasn't liked internally after being here. So, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to look at these just in terms of the fact that these were made, like changes were made. Um, but like I can understand wanting to, make the changes because, things just weren't good enough in the past and expecting them, like making excuses, so to say, for these folks who have been here isn't, it can't fly anymore, right? You need a new look, you need new faces in here. You need to have a higher standard than what has been happening previously. So that's where I can understand that. Yeah, I do. I understand there's some concern with Taylor and where he's coming from. Um, but I mean, if he brings the if he brings the power play success that they had, obviously there's more talent in New Jersey than the Kraken roster currently has. Um, but yeah, I mean, if you are able to bring some form of that, then it's a different story, right? So yeah, I don't think there's that much to say about them. I mean, we'll see. I mean, maybe when we learn more about their roles and such during camp, that'll be something to look at and see how they'll handle things. But yeah, no. So we'll move it along. We'll move it along to old friend, old buddy Cale Fleury. Um Fleurs, who still looks like he's like 14 in the face.
Infant.
Uh Signed a 2-year contract extension. Um 8,900 890,000 AAV starting next year. Botterill said he's been an important player in the organization and he's developed into a steady and reliable defenseman. Have been have him under contract for the next 2 years. He's depth. He's depth. I mean, I think he's fine. Don't get me wrong. He can play third pairing D. I'm not mad at that at all. Right. Um, like, I don't know. He's just a guy that I don't think has ever really I use the term in baseball because their version of like the AHL, right, is AAA, right? I refer to guys who are good enough for AAA, but not quite good enough to stick in major leagues as quad A guys, 4A instead of AAA, right? Cale Fleury is like a quad A guy in the NHL. It's good enough to play in the AHL. He will do very well in the AHL. Just doesn't seem to show the same sort of production at the NHL level. You can argue, hey, he hasn't gotten the chance. Sure, but he did get some games this year. Like, I don't know. I think it's good depth. Because what if something does happen to one of your guys, right? God forbid, something happens to Vince again, like it has the last few years. I know it's our job to talk about it. Um, you know, you need guys like this. Because what if it is, you have to send in a guy, one of the WHL guys who's going to play the NHL level next year, and they're not close to ready for the NHL level, right? So, um, Jade, and then to you, Mary Cal. Any thoughts on Cale, what you've seen from him, whether it's AHL level or any thoughts on Cale just with this extension? Because I mean, it's good. I'm happy that you keep depth. I mean, you want depth. You need to like tidy these things up. But I know it's not flashy. It's not
Yeah,
Capo Caco re-signing, but it's good to have.
I agree with everything you said. I think he's a good depth player. He can come into the NHL and, he's looked pretty good when he's at the NHL level, but I agree with you about him not quite being good enough for full time in the NHL, but then in the AHL succeeding really well. And This is so funny after you just said that he looks like he's 14, which he totally does. He looks like a baby, but he is one of the more like veteran players for Coachella, and I think that that's
Mhm.
important. I think that I talked about this semi recently that it's important for the AHL level to, still have older guys on the team that kind of stick there more than just being in the NHL because they do need that veteran voice in the locker room. And I think that that's a good place for him. And, he's been good when he's been called up. And given the way that our defense gets injured often, I think it'll be good to have him there and available.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's I like Cale. I think he's fine. He does a great job for us when we call him up. I would like to see him be up a little more consistently to have a little more of a chance. But then again, that means that someone's hurt and out, so that sucks. But I think it's a good. I mean, I have nothing bad to say against him. I hate that he's ping-ponged around up and down, but I get it. Like that's just the way it is. It freaking sucks, but
At least it's a short flight. It's
yeah,
not like, 12-hour flight back and forth or anything.
not far. It's just frustrating. And
Yeah.
I do wish we had the opportunity to give him a shot over some others, but I think um I'm on board with it. I don't hate it.
Yeah, I think, I mean, and considering what I've been pining for in like a move off of one of your D in specific and Jamie Alexiak, I mean, maybe that option does, I mean, because it's a 2-year one-way contract extension. Yeah. So, I mean, well, oh, Jade, you retweeted something about this the other day, actually, where it was like the one way doesn't affect the waiver status. It just affects the pay that the player is getting.
Yes, I wish that I could scream it from the rooftops once a day that
Yeah.
when a player is on a two-way contract or when a player's on a one-way contract, that all that means is they're getting paid the same no matter which league they're playing in. And when they're on a
Yeah.
two-way contract, they're getting paid a higher amount in the NHL and a lower amount in the AHL. And it has nothing to do with where they're playing. Like the people think that two-way means that they can be moved back and forth, and then one-way means that they're just at the NHL level, and that just isn't the case most of the time. Obviously, sometimes that is the case, but like it's just I can't remember who it was a couple weeks ago. It feels like closer to a month and a half ago now, but there was another AHL guy that got re-signed and um a group of people were like, "Oh, good, this means that he's going to be full-time in the NHL next year. That's so exciting." And I was like, "That's not what that means at all. It just means that he gets paid the same." And so I know contracts are really hard. It took me hours and hours and hours of like just reading the CBA and reading, all these different pages on the contracts, but some parts of it are easier to understand. Like that's one that's a little bit easier. So I understand the
Yeah,
confusion, but
the language is fun.
yeah, it is also just important to know that there is a difference between the two, and it's not the difference that people assume it is.
Yeah. And you could also look at the um, fact that he's getting paid a certain amount and will be paid at a certain amount throughout the year as a hey, like we believe in you, we want to see more from you um this season, like make us make that decision. You know what I mean? Like that could be that, or it's hey, you've been a very loyal player that has dealt with the ups and downs. Here's a little bit of a reward where you don't have to
Mhm.
deal with AHL pay, right? It could be either or it's both, you know? So, I mean, you can look into those things, right? But I don't think there's too much to look into with this contract. Like, he's a depth guy. It's valuable to have that. Oh, and what Jade brought up, yeah, because John Hayden's been that guy, right? John Hayden, like, he can come in and be a scrappy fourth liner for you at the NHL level, right? But I've talked to him about this. I've shared this story about talking to him. Like, he's been like a very nice mentor figure for guys that have come up, like Shane, like Ryan Winterton. You know what I mean? And he continues to be that, for the Firebirds. So, they do need Max McCormick. I talked to him during training camp last year. I asked him, I was like, is it tough? to, be a guy who's tasted the NHL and continue to play like extended time in the NHL, then he gave me a very candid answer. He's like, yeah, you'd like to be at the big show, but he kind of understands his role. He understands he's playing an important position for some of the young forwards, so he doesn't mind it that much. I appreciated him being candid because he could. It's tough to ask those questions, right? Uh, for a guy who, for something that's not super easy to say. It's not like a layup of a question. So, all right, we'll move on to something I didn't think I would predict.
Which?
Hey, you be careful. I've got Puckpedia open right now. I'll do something else.
Stay away from Adam Lair.
No, I'm not touching him. Um, but yeah, so Andre Burakovsky was traded uh to the Chicago Blackhawks for Joe Veleno, straight up. No salary retained, no incentives thrown in for Chicago to take him on.
Maybe bottle.
Um,
I don't know.
yeah, he maybe he watches the show and says, "You know what, Charles? That's a great idea. Chicago will be fool and take this on." It was kind of funny, seeing a bunch of Chicago fans, being like, "Oh, this could be a steal if he gets back to the player he was." I was like, "Yeah, we thought that too," and it didn't happen. Like it
Hopefully it
felt like,
happens somewhere else for him.
He
you
could do
know,
it. I think he could do it.
he's a great like guy to have in the locker room. Don't get me wrong. It was tough, so many times, and Jade can attest to this when we would go down for post game, like the rare times we'd talk to him, it like felt like such a relief to him that he just had a good game and got out of it healthy,
Breaks
right?
my
Because
heart.
it's tough. I mean, there was one in particular where it was like, I'm trying to remember what it was, but we talked to him and it was like he was just happy that he was contributing, I mean, it's tough. He was having a great first half of that first year of his 5-year contract. And then the first shift after the All-Star break, he like I think it was a torn groin. Like first shift. I hope I never have to experience what that is. Um, it's tough. I mean, we had a great support system here. Obviously, everyone talks about how great the Seattle facilities are. So that's not an issue. It just some players just deal with bad luck in terms of injuries, right? I mean, these are the best athletes in the world. And they have the best resources at their disposal. Obviously, there are some franchises who cheap out on that, but I don't think the Kraken are that. They're spending a lot of money, I can tell you that as someone who talks to these people. Um, and so sometimes players just get unlucky with this stuff. Sure, there are some instances where they're not taking their health as serious, but I certainly don't think Berkey is a guy that falls into that category, you know. Um, so Mary Cal, we will go to you first. Just, it could be thoughts on the trade, it could be thoughts on Berkey. Just thoughts on this, and then Jade to you, my friend.
I mean, we all know I love Berkey. I am sad to see him go, but I do think it was time for him to go somewhere else. I do think he can get back to the player he was. I just don't think Seattle is going to be the place for him to do it right now. It does make me sad to see him go. Um, I don't know much about Veleno. Everything I've seen, everyone says he's a good guy. Excited to be here, but I don't want to get too attached because who knows if we're going to keep him. He's a buyout candidate. So I don't know. I don't hate it. I'm sad to see Berkey go, but it's not. I think it was kind of inevitable. So
I feel um
yep.
so
I feel
yeah, I feel a lot of things. So
relatable.
yesterday when I woke up, I saw a text from Charles that said something about Burakovsky being traded, and then I was like, wait, what is going on? And so I looked and I was like, oh, okay, cool, like good for him. And then I thought about it and I was like, no, actually, this was kind of the best possible move at this point. Like, maybe not necessarily Chicago, that kind of sucks, but
Uh,
um, as a whole, I'm glad that he is going to have a second chance somewhere else or another chance somewhere else after just never quite finding his footing in Seattle. Um, it's unfortunate that that's how it played out, but as we saw, Capo Caco is a really good example of this, where you get traded, you get a new environment, and you just start thriving. And so I'm hoping that that happens for him. I know next to nothing about Veleno aside from him basically being a cheaper version of Burakovsky, though.
Eh,
So, I'm interested to see what they end up doing with him, if they're gonna hang on to him or buy him out or put him in a package in a trade at the draft or something. I'm very interested to see what goes on there.
yeah, he's interesting because I mean he's 25 years old. Um, he comes. Oh, interesting. He comes here, from Chicago. He spent a good amount of time, I think, with Detroit,
Hmm.
if I remember correctly. Not a big point producer guy. He could be your 4C. Someone was like, "Oh, we have enough centers." I'm like, sure. You do need a fourth C guy, so I mean, could be there. Um, at the last year of his contract, the move puts you back up to 18 million in cap space, and that could go up with a buyout of Philip Grubauer. Someone in our comments said, "Hey, maybe since Byro is able to move Burakovsky, he can trade Grubauer." I'm like, I don't know. I've been surprised before. If they were to buy out Veleno, um, who I guess before this was already a buyout candidate, the cap hit next year would be 795,000, and then 295,000 the year after that, which isn't that bad. Um, I don't know. I could be fine letting them just hang out. Um, because again, you're in the last year of his deal.
Yeah, I think it would make
You,
sense just to let him see what he can do.
yeah, you could have him be the 4C, bring AC Mont back, bring Cartier back, and there's your fourth line. I mean, because so often I feel like with Jade and then now with Miracle, I've talked about, okay, you've re-signed Hayden, you re-sign AC Mont Cartier, like you can get it figured out. If it doesn't work with AC Mont or Cartier, you could let it move. If things really do shake up, then it could be present the opportunity for Ty Cartier to get a higher line because see, I've thought about this. Jade and I think we had a whole segment of a show towards the end of the season where I took issue with, the cries for Ty to get more, more respect or that he's a better player than this. Darren Brown, I had this conversation with Darren Brown from Sound of Hockey where um it is just the role that he's playing is difficult because I mean he wasn't playing this kind of fourth line role, this grittier, more physical role in Coachella Valley where he was having great success. And then when he came up during the playoffs with the Kraken, right when Jared McCann was hurt, he came in and took Jared McCann's spot, and he was able to play more of that offensive game. So I mean, the guy's 24. Dan Bilesma talked. I remember asking Dan myself. I remember being at training camp and saying, "Hey, what are you looking for him this year?" And he talked about his shot. We didn't really get to see that often this past year. So hey, maybe if things shake, but also my argument still stands with this roster that ideally this is not like the current forward group is not how we open opening day. It should be better than this if you want to have the aspirations of making the playoffs, in my opinion. Ty Cartier cannot be moving up, be the upgrade here, in addition to Mason Marchment. Can't, you know, like, don't get me wrong. A lot of these guys, oh, and you still have to resign Capo Caco anyway. So, like, again, your top nine is full right now, still with Marchment and no Caco. Well, if you resign Caco. So I don't know. It's interesting still with this for like I put out that whole thing with the Puckpedia like line chart and that gained some traction with folks who thought it was interesting. Even now it because you traded forward for forward. If you traded a D and you got a D, it'd be different. But I mean, I'm just happy you got that contract off the books because yeah,
Hmm.
paying Berkey that much money for that type of production is just not. Ugh. That's how I feel about it. Um, we shall move over here to kind of report city. where oh wait, I lost it. Ugh. No. Oh wait, yes, I found it. David Pagnotta with the fourth period put out kind of trade activity and kind of rumors around the league. So, there was also the thing with the written 32 thoughts. I'm hungry. Thoughts with Elliot Friedman about how Seattle wasn't done. And I think that written 32 thoughts came out the day before the Burakovsky trade. So, I mean, they weren't done. Um,
The
excuse me.
Pagnotta report came out after the Burakovsky trade, and he
Oh,
kind of
nice.
reiterated that he still believes that Seattle isn't done. So that's interesting.
Yeah, so yeah, because the rest of the thing was also Chicago. And I'm like, I don't care.
Mhm.
Shut up. Um, get 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 Connor Bedard help or trade him. Like, you know. Um, yeah, the Kraken wanted a top six forward with edge and got that in Mason Marchment. Yep. I don't believe they're done. Both clubs have money to burn and a willingness to spend it responsibly. Yeah, I hope so after the way that things went. Um, And then the other thing, I expect teams like the Maple Leafs and Kraken, and there will be others to pursue Andre? Nope, I'm still thinking about him. Andrew Mangiapane once he hits the open market. Now this is interesting. 29 years old, last spent his time with the Caps and that team. Ugh. Um, I'm not necessarily mad at this. I mean, could be interesting. Didn't have the greatest year offensively. Kind of his better years were with Calgary, what in 21-22? Yeah, 35 goal season, 21-22. Um, he's had 14 goal seasons his last 2 years, 75 games in 23-24, 81 and 24-25. Um, 5'10, 183, so he's not giving you a ton of size. Left hand shot. I don't know. It's interesting. Um, but I also again it goes back to the forward logjam. Who's moving out, right? So, any thoughts either on Mangiapane? Um, he's got a nickname, right? I'm missing this. No?
But
I
I
don't know.
don't know what
Not a fan. Pass.
Hmm, interesting. All right.
I
I thought he had
agree
a
with that. And I know that he does have a nickname, but I don't know what it is because he was a Flame and I
Pass.
hate the Flames. So
Yeah, I don't
but
know.
oh yeah, you got it. Oh no. Yeah. Any either of you, just any thoughts on Seattle not being done or Mangiapane? Because I don't know. I mean, again, it's tough, with a roster that's been so offensively to like spit at a forward potentially. But also, excuse me, also like I'm wondering if you'd rather go out the other guys. Like of course, I've thrown around the Brock Besser name, but I guess he's been tied. I thought I saw reports that he was tied to Boston,
Minnesota.
um, Minnesota.
Minnesota and the Kings are what I saw him tied to most
Ew.
recently.
Yeah.
Vegas is number one on the list. Ew, gross. Wow. Number one, Vegas. Number two on the wish list is LA for Mitch Marner. You asshole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop.
He's a little dick.
Stop.
He said he
Uh,
wanted, or the reports were he wanted West Coast and a contender. And I was like, well, have fun in LA or Vegas, man.
Yep.
oh, don't do that. Go somewhere else. Damn it.
Um, my thoughts on the Kraken not being done yet are good. I hope that they're not done. I hope that they do something more. I hope that they do some batshit insane blockbuster trade that nobody's
Uh,
expecting. I know that that's probably not going to happen, but like that is what I'm hoping for. Um, and then the rumor that we're going to go after Mon Mangiapane, is that how you say it?
I believe that's right.
Okay.
Someone angry in the comments is gonna be like about
Yeah.
get it wrong. So
Um, I do not I agree with Miracle. I don't really love that. His previous contract that he just finished out was 3 years, 5.8 million. And I know somebody is going to be like, the cap is going up. It doesn't matter. It actually does kind of matter when it's not like I don't know. I don't think he's going to move the needle a whole lot for Seattle.
That's my worry.
Um, I would rather see them go after, I don't know, almost anybody else at this point. Oh, gross.
Miracle, do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, same. I think we should pass on Mangiapane. Like I said, pass. I do think we should do something else. I don't think just adding Mason is going to help us a whole lot. It's a great first step, but like, what's next? I mean, like I said, we got a forward log jam. So like, how are we going to fix that? I don't know. And I'm still interested to see what we're going to do about Grubauer. Is that going to be a buyout? I don't love that idea, but I don't know. Just tell me, like, let me stop spiraling about what the hell is going to happen. I just want to know.
Yeah, I guess that kind of leads me. Well, oh, Jade was saying some like batshit crazy trade. I'll throw something else into the wind. I don't know anything with this. I'm just throwing it in there like I throw out Burakovsky. Boston traded their fucking captain. Well, yeah, he was the captain in Boston,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Okay. I don't pay much attention to the rat. They traded the rat, and Sweeney seems to be they gave him an extension. That if they traded the guy like that, and they traded a few people, Coyle's gone, they traded pieces. Fucking rebuild. Give me David Pastrnak. Make him a fucking offer. If he wants out, if he's frustrated, make him a fucking offer.
I
Who
think
what are you talking about a blockbuster deal? What other star is going to be available?
I
You
think they're
don't
going
know.
to make
We never
Pasternak a
know.
captain.
That's what I was just about to say.
I'm,
I think they did a whole little video thing today. I
yeah,
think Boston's about to be made Boston's captain.
I
So
agree.
Oh, did
I
they?
think it's
Well,
going to
I
be
mean,
a new sweater for this coming season, and he's going to be captain.
oh, I see. Hey, I mean, I've been surprised before. Again, I didn't think
I would not say no
Marchand was going to be
at
traded.
all. If he
That
wants to,
again, that's just you're throwing out batshit crazy trade. That's my, you know, because I mean, you look at the top guys. Who else would do it? Like, uh, Winnipeg. Does Winnipeg do something? Is Kyle Connor tired of playing in Winnipeg? I don't know. Like, you have to be in on anything for anybody who wants to move. Like, Tampa Bay seems like they want to reload, right? So they're not going to move anybody. I'm just looking at top point getters here. Clayton Keller, Utah wants to be competitive right now. And I mean, they almost made the playoffs and they played Pavel Melka like the entire season, practically,
Poor guy.
right? Like, nope, don't want that name. I just saw Artemi Panarin. No, thanks.
nope.
Yeah. I'm looking at Mikko Rantanen, and they have to fit 3 abbreviations under team for him. Um, I don't know, man. Like, who becomes available here is what interests me. Matt Duchene just got extended, So yeah, at the end of the day, we don't know. It when like these, you're talking about again. I go back to it, a batshit crazy trade. Usually, you don't know about that.
Hmm.
It just kind of happens. Like, so yeah. I mean, I agree with what Miracle said, right, about Manju. How does he move the needle? Right? Like, do you see something in him that hasn't been tapped in Washington, a team that, you know, won a lot of games last year,
Hmm.
you know? Um, but yeah, no, I mean, it does beg the question, like, you want to be aggressive, you want to get better. What happens in a logjam here? What are you doing? I think Dave on Twitter was like, I think yeah, Jordan Eberle has a no trade clause or no move clause, right? So I mean, he'd have to waive that if they think of it, but I don't imagine they're going to think about that this offseason. That'd be very wildly crazy. And like we talked about, you need to have a plan.
Yeah.
Um, I guess my question is, I'm going to put you in the Jason Botterill seat. Okay. It's a lot of responsibility. I know. Miracle would have a hair downgrade if that was happening. Um, his hair throws me off. Um, no comments about men without hair making hair comments. Shut up. If you are Jason Botterill, What buyout decisions are you making or not making this upcoming week? And if there's a player you're moving this upcoming week, who is it? I'm gonna become the example here. Okay. As painful as it is, because again, as someone who has interacted several times with the guy, no, this one, to make sure I got the right one. Buying out Philip Grubauer to give him another chance. Oh, that's right. Jade was talking about change of scenery, like with Cabo Caco. Yeah, Burakovsky, that could be great for him. I think with this guy, it would be great for him. He played well down the stretch at the end of the year. I just you can't have two $5 million contracts in the crease unless you have like the Swayman Omark tandem, and that didn't last, obviously for different reasons. But you get the point, right? It's too much money in the crease. Veleno, eh, fine with it. He's 25. I mean, I'll leave him be. Grubauer, I don't know if I want to do two buyouts anyway. And I'm seeing if someone takes Jamie Alexiak. You can't get paid 4.6 million and play on the third pairing. We talked about Cale Fleury getting a chance. I would give him more of a chance over a guy who's making several times more money than him. He just hasn't, and maybe again, we're talking about change of scenery again. Maybe he needs it. He was on a team that went to a cup in Dallas, and like he had a solid playoff run during year two, but also everybody had a career year seemingly. I just, you talk about size and this team needing more. How many times was there a need for someone to step up physically? Jared McCann shouldn't be fighting your battles, right? That sweet youth pastor should not be fighting anybody. You got a guy with size who didn't use it, and he's looked at as kind of an offensive defenseman. He didn't really do that much, so that's why I'm moving him. Okay, GM Jade Botterill, GM Jade Jason Botterill, you're up, and then
Um,
Miracle.
so I'm also probably buying out Grubauer, although I would be heavily, heavily, heavily considering who I'm going to bring in to replace
Mm,
him.
yeah,
Um, the goaltending free agent pool is um underwhelming. Actually, no, it's whelming. Um, not super impressed with anybody on there. The only one that I would personally maybe bring in is Samsonov from Vegas, and he I've I know me and Miracle kind of talked about this. He gets in his head a lot. Seattle fans don't love their goaltenders if they're not performing well, and he does go on cold streaks. So I would kind of think twice about that. I know John Gibson has said that he would waive his no trade clause, whatever clause he has to go to Edmonton. So I would probably check in and see like, would you be willing to come to Seattle? Um, I know it's not Edmonton, obviously, but like, is that a move that's possible? And then I would, I agree with you about Veleno. I don't know. I would either leave him or toss him in a package deal and instead of buying him out, because why waste the money on a player that you got in a trade where you were offloading a giant contract anyway? Um, Aside from that, I would, and this is gonna piss some people off, I'm sure, I would uh dangle Riker and tie for a trade.
You
Mm,
had me in the first half, not gonna lie.
What?
You had me in the first half. Not gonna lie.
Um, and if nobody wanted to pick up Ty, that's fine. He has like we said earlier, he has done okay and he definitely deserves a chance to kind of prove himself a little bit more. But if somebody did pick up the phone and they were like, "Hey, I'm interested in this guy," depending on the return, I would at a minimum consider it. But Riker for sure, I think I would move on from. Me and uh Darren Brown from Sound of Hockey had a conversation about that at a game this year where we were like, what would his value be? What could the return be? Would it be worth moving him at this point? Because he's also just not moving the needle in the way that I feel like everybody expected him to. And then I don't know, I would go offer anybody willing to live in Seattle as much money as they want. if they're a good player. And that's what I would do, I think.
You don't want me to be a GM, basically. Because
Too late.
I
You've
think,
been put in the chair. We've locked you in the general manager's office, and we're making you pick up the phone.
okay, well, I mean, it can't be any worse than it was last couple of years. So I think,
Yeah.
honestly, I would keep Groovy. I would keep him one more year just because he did well with um Colin, whose name I can't remember.
Zulianello.
Yes, he did well with him for a little bit. So I'm like, I want to see what that would look like for a whole season. I just want to see. I don't know if that's practical or if that's going to happen, but I would keep Groovy. Veleno, I'm going to keep anyway. Like, I don't think that's going to, it's a year. I think we're going to keep him and see what he does for a year. Like, who cares? It's a year. Um, but yeah, I would, Alexiak and Riker would be the two that I would be like shopping around just to
Mhm.
see. Just to see. I think, and that doesn't help our forward log jam at all that I'm shopping around D, but I'm like, hey, let's see what we can get. But I mean, that's what I would do. I don't, I wouldn't make a good GM because I would be like, no, give him another shot. Like, I think he needs another year. But I do think I would like to see what Gru could do for another year with the new coach and the other coaching staff and just see.
I agree
But
with your point about seeing him at the NHL level with the same
yeah,
goaltending coach that he did the best he did all season under. Um, so I definitely see your point there. But yeah, Alexiak and Riker I would have I would be calling teams just back to back to back to back to back. What can you give me for this guy? I don't even care if you give me another defenseman, just get him off my team. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be aggressive, which it kind of looks like they're doing that, right? In upgrading and doing it quickly. Yeah, take two young guys who, you maybe don't see as part of the like real future, move them. I mean, I'm sure there are teams that would certainly kick the tires on both of those guys, right? Um, you know, I can certainly understand Miracle's point on keeping Phil around. I mean, don't get me, again, I love the guy, like great human being. I've been as anyone who follows us knows, I've been an advocate of Philip Grubauer. Um, and yeah, I mean, with like they don't necessarily have to move him to create more space. Like they've got $18 million right now. They can create that more space. They can create more space by moving Alexiak. Again, you can't have $4.6 million playing third line minutes, third pairing minutes. That's not good. And again, with this show of this intent to compete immediately, I was told at the press conference for Lane Lambert, not Lane himself, but people in the organization, they are willing to give some grace, but they expect results. They expect winning. So I mean, that's what we're seeing with bot. Like you trade for a Mason Marchment, you trade picks. So yeah, but again, they did talk about moving picks. They got Burakovsky off the books. Like that's a big deal. Um, who knows what the week ahead holds, right? Did any of us expect what we saw this week? I don't think so.
No.
Mason Marchment in the Seattle Kraken is never in my wildest fucking dreams. I had to refresh like 4 times. I was like, does that say who I think it says?
Hello?
I, just,
Hello?
I immediately sent it to someone and I was like, is that right? Like Mason? No, no.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I said this in the like emergency podcast we did, but I'm impressed so far. I'm not hating what I'm seeing. Although that opinion can change very quickly depending on what happens next.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
cautiously optimistic. But I also think it pisses me off when they're like, we expect winning right away after all of this other shit that he's had to like deal with, and now he's coming into like from that shit show. You got to win right away. And I'm like, well, that's not okay. Sure, why not? I don't
Yeah.
care. I just feel like that's not sustainable, and we're going to be chewing up coaches and spitting them out like we have been. So I don't know. That bothers me a little bit. But I mean, he seems like he knows that that's what they expect and that's what he's going for. So more power to you, Mr. Lambert.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the week ahead mostly.
These guys, you never know what they're gonna do. You really don't ever know. Um, yeah, I'm very interested to see what goes on. I think, like you both kind of alluded to, it's a good start, but if you expect to win, if you expect to legitimately compete I'm going to do this again, and I hope I can find the fucking standings easier than I did last time. Um, if you expect to compete with a division, oh God, I don't want to look at it anymore. In a division with the Golden Knights, the Kings, the Oilers, Flames team that's young and almost made the playoffs. Again, you don't have to literally answer it. Don't know what the hell is happening in Vancouver. And an Anaheim team that seems to want to win as well. Go ahead. Like, that's your battle to pursue. I think it's possible. Anything is possible. But like Jason Botterill will have to live at KCI,
Yeah.
like making these calls. Like he's going to live there. The Starbucks in KCI will know him by like he just needs to like ring a bell and they'll have his order ready. Like keep that man in there. I mean, there's like food right across the street from KCI, so he doesn't need to go
He's good.
anywhere.
I
So
think that, yeah, I'm enjoying the start so far, but that I need to see that kept up. I need to see that continuing for me to have any sort of, I don't even want to say hope when it comes to this team right now, but any sort of hope in the 25-26 season. The momentum has to keep going. That's where that I've been looking for.
yeah, got to keep it up. I mean, I, I I really didn't even think they were that far off this past season, but I do think that the right thing to do to push you to competing is changing out some of the old. You're gonna have to move away from the guys that were part of the inaugural season. It's tough, but that era didn't work.
Hmm.
It is for years, but clearly it has not worked. It clearly isn't something that's going to keep you going into the future.
Yep.
There are guys that can stay, but you know, so anything Kraken related from the past week we did not talk about? The little last call that either of you want to bring up
Nope. I
No.
got nothing.
besides Miracle being sick. I get it. It's tough that Berkey's gone. I know.
Yeah.
Jade, I know you've got all the things in your brain, you nerd. Anything super important to know about coming up over the next week besides the fact that we're like in the buyout window, you think?
Currently in the buyout window until June 30th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The entry draft starts Friday at a time that I can't remember. Let me Google it really quick.
And that yeah.
Um, and it goes Friday and Saturday. Also, 32 Bar and Grill is hosting their annual watch party. I highly recommend checking it out. It's super fun. Um, Bowie's usually there and they always do giveaways and stuff.
Or
And
the draft.
then what?
Or the draft.
Yeah, I know
Cool.
Mike Fenton and um, I can't remember who else he said are going to be there. Um, can I please get a time for the draft?
No.
Not
No,
that.
I actually get nothing and I like it.
Is it not like 5 p.m. Pacific?
I thought it
It
was
might be.
but I don't know.
Oops, I typed 2,925. Yep, we're going really far into the future.
These kids are
NHL.com doesn't even give you the time. It literally just says round one, June 20. Oh, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So
Okay, 4 our time.
Yep.
Okay,
And then
that's not bad.
that's round 1 on Friday. Rounds 2 through 7 start at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Saturday, the 28th. And then qualifying offers for all restricted free agents are going to be due on Monday, June 30th by 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, Jesus. So there will be things that happen.
Yep. And then free agency opens the next day, July 1st, obviously. And then that's when qualifying offers can start to be accepted. Usually qualifying offers have to be issued by like the 25th or something. The date kind of changes every year based on when the cup final is. So usually there's like a week of waiting to know if the player's going to accept it, but yeah.
That's just silly.
Those are the only important dates that I can think of. Important things.
The only important dates, and it's like 3 or 4 different things.
Yeah. That's it. Nothing big.
Yeah, we'll figure out what we're doing for the draft. I know Dave on Twitter really wanted to do something for the 8th overall pick. So we'll see. I mean, who knows what the Kraken do to either add more picks. I don't imagine they'll do that, or remove some. I mean, right? Because around the trade, the draft is when we see some more trades. So we could see more of that then. So yeah, who knows? Maybe in a crazy convoluted world, somehow they trade up.
I'm also anticipating a handful of trades, not specifically the Kraken, obviously, but like just around the league before Friday. And then I am anticipating a lot happening at the draft.
Yeah, I think the draft and I think free agency is going to be a shit show this year. It's just wild.
Fingers crossed Twitter doesn't break on July 1st.
On the day. Oh my God. Oh, that was rough.
Yeah. War flashbacks to that sometimes.
Jesus Christ. Well, we'll see you next time. Again, we'll figure out what we're doing for the draft and stuff like that. Because I'm sure it'll be an eventful time. Take care of yourselves. Be well. Do whatever you can to make today a great day.
Hey, Charles.
Hey, Jen.
Hey. Where are you going to watch all those Kraken away games?
Kraken away games, making a push. I was thinking of coming here just because Rough and Tumble is the home of circling Seattle sports, only if that's okay with you.
I mean, I love that idea. Hope to see you here.